How can I help my son? It seems like a lot of the responses are assuming your son is behaving this way because he's lazy, unappreciative, or a jerk, that it's a character flaw that can be solved by practicing tough love. Only you know the history of your son, and maybe you have insights into why he's struggling. A lack of motivation and socialization with mood enhancers like video games and alcohol make it seem like your son is struggling with mental illness. Setting ultimatums, or doing crazy things like turning off the electricity, could actually backfire, and your son, feeling without support from you both, could lead to a worsening of his symptoms. I am speaking as someone who has had a similar experience. Therapy can help, as can seeing a psychiatrist who can not only diagnose what may be going on, but who can prescribe medical intervention to help your son climb out of the hole. Your son may feel like the world is against him and that normal, adult life is beyond him. Acting as if he's a bother, or that you don't want him around anymore, may send him over the edge. Have a gentle talk with him outlining what you're observing and why it concerns you. Tell him he has your unconditional love and support, but that you aren't qualified to help him get to a better place, and that it's time to get his mental health situation figured out, and that you are willing to be part of a team, including a counselor and psychiatrist, to help him get back on his feet. Make sure he's eating healthy food and getting plenty of water. Spend time together as a family. Games, walks, outings, shared mealtime. You may tell him that you know counseling hasn't seemed to work in the past, but that he probably needs more than a few visits with someone to decide if it's going to work. Try to find someone who specializes in addiction. There are even counselors who specialize in video game addiction. So many young people his age are struggling. He absolutely knows that he's not okay, and that he's failing at life. Right now you know the current situation isn't helping, and the dry runs you've made at getting him help haven't worked. You all need to be committed to seeing it through until he's better. Stay on top of it. Be a gentle ear if he feels like he can't tell you things without you getting upset. He's not going to share things with you. I think the idea of kicking a loved one to the curb because they're struggling, to many, seems like the right thing to do. But when someone is running on empty and looking for mental relief in a bottle or in front of a computer, that person needs loving help. Stick at the treatment. It may take him a while, but the results will be a stronger family and a better bond with your son. Hang in there. I've been there, and it absolutely can get better. You don't have to evict him straight off. Just stop buying him booze and paying for his Wi-Fi. I've been there. My parents probably should have kicked me out at 21. I did eventually get a job on my own, but first I had to get flat broke. Stop giving him money. Stop buying the things he likes. Tell him he has a year to move out. Check out the Healthy Gamer YouTube channel by Dr. K. He's a Harvard psychiatrist that started the channel to help people with depression and gaming addiction. Truly incredible guy. Very chill and down to earth. Young and relatable. He's also a gamer. One of the best people I've ever seen at explaining human psychology. Personally, he has helped me immensely. I had a similar situation. Mine is now 25. Identical other than the drinking. That was when he was 18. Anyway, we just encouraged him to work in different jobs, and then one day something very magical happened. He helped a chef make some enchiladas in a restaurant where he was bussing, and he liked it. One of his friends suggested that if he likes baking, maybe be a baker. He applied for an apprenticeship at 23, and now he is established. Has really huge self-esteem and is always early for work. We feel so blessed his friend suggested baking. No way in a million years would I have thought that. Anyhow, hang in there. Don't give up. Just encourage to try different jobs. Kids will eventually find what they like. I forgot to mention, it turns out not many kids are doing that trade anymore. Bakers are in high demand with qualified wages around 120,000 Australian dollars. As a second-year mature apprentice he gets $55,000 AUD. Do you know anyone that can be a role model for him? An uncle, or another family friend that he could relate to a bit? Ask them to take him out for lunch and have life talk. Has he been evaluated for mental illness, depression, disability, drug abuse? Your post lacks a lot of detail, but certainly depression could be a factor, as well as ADD, ADHD. Has he been evaluated by a clinical psychologist? I would start there. My brother has been doing the same thing since he was 24 and now he's 30 and nothing has changed. Want to know why? Because my parents let him. They let him live in the house for free, eat their food for free, make stupid purchases like a sports car instead of investing wisely or renting an apartment. My dad got him 2 jobs and he was fired from both. He's completely taken advantage of my parents' fear of his death. He used to be addicted to drugs. They still think he might off himself if he leaves the house. He now sits in his room all day long, chain smoking, playing video games. He was no friends. He has insane anger problems and doesn't know how to talk to people normally anymore. Do you want your son to end up in the same place at 30? My wife has suggested we try threatening him with eviction. But we live in a rough part of town and I just can't bear the idea of throwing my son out like that. At age 24 I would certainly require that he be job hunting every day in order to qualify for free room and board. Why should he bother finding a job as long as you are willing to finance his life of video games? You are not doing him any favors by enabling him this way. What would happen to him if both of you were killed in a car wreck? He'd be lost. Do you plan on allowing this to continue indefinitely? That's not helping. Your job as a parent is to prepare him for independent living. Emo, you have got to start requiring that he try. Time for a family meeting. You and the wife need to get on the same page as far as a plan and then you tell him what's going to happen. He needs to find a job, any job, over the next 30 days. Period. If flipping burgers is all that he can get, then he'll be flipping burgers. Tell him that the free ride is over, that employment is a condition of living there, and that his rent will be XX percentage of his paycheck. Otherwise you do him a great disservice by enabling his laziness. Give him deadlines. If he doesn't have a job by a certain date, set a consequence. And don't be a pushover with that, because you're already being a pushover by letting it get this far. Try another therapist. Or maybe rehab. Drinking and gaming all day isn't going to change unless he changes. And why should he right now? With you supporting this behavior. An allowance does not make someone financially independent. Balancing a job and bills makes someone financially independent. You need to cut him off and give some ultimatums about at least finding a job. You don't need to kick him out just yet. Technically you're still paying for his booze and games, or anything he buys, because he's unemployed and you give him an allowance. I would take away his allowance. It's kinda enabling. Stop giving him money and tell him to get a job. Do you really want to help your son? Stop enabling him. You created this behavior by doing everything for him and not teaching him to be self-responsible. I understand you probably did this out of a perceived love for him. But the problem is you never stopped loving him as a child and started loving him as a man. Which is what teaches him to be a man. And consequently he's never stepped into manhood because he's never had to. It's time to wean him off the teat. There's this whole generation of lost men and women right now. Not sure what the actual root causes are. But there are many reasons such as isolation, lack of confidence, no drive, etc. It probably won't fix itself in its own. You might have to give a loving kick in the ass, so to speak. I'd start with maybe a camping trip or something and have a talk about what his future is going to look like, i.e. broke and no female partner. Paint a grim picture, because that is what it will really be like. Alone and depressed. Cut off the Wi-Fi. Quit buying him booze. Don't let him stay in his room all day. Give him a deadline to 1. Get a job. Or 2. Move out. Tough love. Start charging him rent. Don't buy him the things that he likes. This includes that alcohol, video games, accessories, and even fast food, snacks. You simply put things into terms that you paid for things as you should have up until a certain age. If he needs food or clothes, you are willing to get him what you want to get him. Or thrift. If he would like anything newer or nicer, he may pay for himself. The charging rent would be a partial thing. Not actual rent, but more like you want $100, $300 a month. Thus forcing him to find a solution. If you want, then cell phone and internet will be taken away. In addition to driving privileges, if he tried to go to some internet cafe, library, it's alright not to kick him out, but make him see that his comfortable lifestyle is because you work. If he wants to continue living comfortably, then he needs to work. You and your wife need to start going to Al-Anon, and also learn about tough love. He gets to live at home eating for free, playing video games and drinking. Not a care in the world. That's the high life. Why would he get a job? He has no reason. He's 24? That's a whole grown-ass man. Why are you giving allowance to an adult? He isn't buying any of that stuff for himself. You're buying it for him and then giving him credit for it. Clearly it isn't teaching financial responsibility if he spends it all on booze and games. The allowance stops now. He is a willing freeloader and you're enabling him.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.